Hello everyone, my name is Kodamore and welcome back to the LibGDX Game Dev Guide. Today is really important because we're going to define sort of the workflow we're going to use for getting all of the images we want into our game. So the LibGDX test code loads in the badlogic.jpg image that comes with the LibGDX project, and it draws it to the screen. Now if we go into our assets folder in your Android project or core project if you didn't generate an Android project, we'll go ahead and we'll delete this badlogic.jpg image, and we're going to start putting our own images into this assets folder. So I'm going to create a new folder here, and I'm going to name this folder raw_textures. And this is the folder that I want you to put all of the images you're going to use in your game here. So I am actually just going to paste in all the images I've already created for my game. We might add a few more in the future. Now, if you want these images and you want to just copy mine and follow along, the link to download them will be down and below in the description. They were made by myself. They're not very good by any means, but I'm releasing them completely for free for all of you to modify and use in your own game. So basically, in my assets folder, I have this raw textures folder, and I have a few more folders inside of that to organize all my images. For instance, under the tile folder, I have my grass and wall and water tile images, as well as all the images from my water animation. In my player folder, I have my player attack animation frames, moving left and standing animations, swimming, all of those images. So if we want to draw one of these, let's say I want to draw my attack_1 image, let's go into our program, and instead of loading the badlogic.jpg image, which doesn't exist anymore, we'll load an image from our raw textures folder. I'm going to load the image that was in my player folder inside of there, and it was called attack_1.png. So if we run the game now, my attack_1.png image is drawn down in the left-hand corner of the screen. It's really tiny because it's a really tiny pixel art image. Now this is great, but there's a few issues for two main reasons. The first issue is loading this many images, hundreds and hundreds of images, off of the computer is really inefficient. You want to minimize the number of files that you need to load in your game. The second reason is LibGDX, and really anything using OpenGL, which is what renders our stuff to the screen, is not very happy when you try to render tons of different images to the screen at the same time. So how can we fix that issue? Basically, we're going to take every image we have in our game, all of my player animation images, all of my tile images, all the images for my slime and my enemies and such, and we're going to put them all into one image. That's called texture packing. We're taking these individual images and we're putting them into a single image file. That way, we only have to load one image into our game, and in our game, we simply define a certain region of that image to draw an individual image. So what we're going to do is we're going to pack all the images found in the raw textures folder into something called a texture atlas, a single image. To do that, we're going to go into our desktop launcher. So every time our desktop launcher runs, every time we try to run the game on our computer, we're going to pack all of our textures into a texture atlas. And I'm going to write a note here to remove this code before releasing our game. This code is for development only. We're going to actually release our game with just the pre-packed textures that we have whenever we're done developing our game. But we're going to run this code every time for development, that way everything stays up to date. I'll show you what I mean. First things first, we're going to need to create the texture packer settings object equal to a new texture packer.settings. These are settings that describes how we want to pack our images together. Now there are a bunch of different options here. In fact, if you go to the LibGDX wiki, you can actually find the texture packer page, and there's a table of all of the settings available and what they do, so you can look through that if you'd like. We're only going to use a few settings here. First of all, we're going to set POT equal to true. This stands for power of 2. Basically, our single image that we're packing all these individual images into is going to be a size of a power of 2, which a lot of older hardware likes images to be of that size. Next, we're going to set fast equal to true. This is basically going to make the texture packer run a little bit faster. It just might not use all the available space in a single image. So we can change that to false before we release our game, but since we're going to be running this program a lot, we want it to go as fast as possible. Next, we're going to set combine subdirectories equal to true. That means all of the separate directories in my raw textures folder, all these other folders, are going to be treated as if they were just all in the same folder, essentially. Next, we're going to set padding x equal to 1 and padding y equal to 1 as well. The padding is the space between the individual images in that big image we're creating. So we're just going to space them out a little bit. That can help with texture bleeding, which is something I'm not going to discuss. And finally, edge padding will set equal to true. That'll apply this padding to the edge of the entire image as well. So that's the settings object, and now we actually have to pack all those images. To do that, we're going to do texturepacker.process, and this is going to first take in our settings object, so we'll pass in our settings object, which I called sets, and then it's going to take the folder with everything that you want to pack into a texture atlas. Well, we want to pack everything in our raw textures folder here. So we're simply going to type raw_textures, that folder name, and the next parameter is the output file path. Where do we want to store our texture atlas once it's generated? I want to store it just in our normal assets folder, so I'm going to type // to indicate the current folder. Since our working directory is the assets folder, that means the assets folder. Finally, what do we want to name our texture atlas? I just like to name mine textures, so that's what I'm going to name it. Now if we go ahead and we run our game with these settings here, we should get our game running, and you'll notice that there's going to be probably a few printouts. It's going to say packing, indicating it's packing our textures, and then it's going to say it wrote this textures.png file here. Now I'm actually going to stop my game for right now, and if we open up our assets folder, you'll notice that we have two brand new files. We have a textures.atlas file and a textures.png file. And if we go into this image file that it generated, you'll notice that it's a single image with every single image that was in my raw textures folder inside of it. Each of these images is spaced out by 1 pixel each, and they're all found in this individual image. And it also generated this textures.atlas file. This file, actually, if we open it up in any text editor, actually just describes where each of those individual images are in this now generated one big image. So for example, the texture that was inside of my item folder that was named tree.png just becomes named item, the folder it was in, /tree, and then there's some settings that specify the location and size of it in that big image that was generated. And we can actually load this texture atlas, just these two files, into LibGDX and be able to still draw all of those individual images that we had. So in the next episode, we'll learn how to use a texture atlas in LibGDX. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you then.